Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everybody? What's happening, Chip? Do you realize the case is over? SEC is losing. XRP is fast. It's secure. It has real-world utility. You know what, though? Gary Gensler just doesn't know it yet. Or maybe he does.
It's one of those guys. If I did that right, I don't know. It's hard to tell on the screen here.
Looked about right.
He's a loser. He's a loser.
A loser.
A loser.
That song. He's a loser, baby.
So why don't you? Oh, we got to be careful here. Okay. Guys, who's ready to get this puppy kicked off? You ready? Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain. Welcome, everybody. Jeff, good to have you back. Had Apex sitting in here the other night. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. It's always great, man. You can bring people on from the community, have a lot of fun. And Alchemist is tuning in from his mom's basement. So,
well, it's awesome, I guess. I mean, all right. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. You guys know what to do if you want more content like this. Hit that notification bell, subscribe, and did it out of order this time because it's such a thing. It's like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. So that's it. Also, where are you guys tuning in from today? You guys are on the rewatch? Wherever.
Yeah, wherever you are, Chip. Wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's Alchemist's mom's basement or the adult in the room who's tuning in from Ohio and he hasn't seen the ocean in a while. Not sure if the ocean still exists.
It's still there.
We can confirm that it is still there.
It is still there. Yeah, absolutely, 100% still there.
Got all of our adored Australian fans out there that are tuning into On the Chain.
Love that.
It's great. You know what's so amazing? This On the Chain community is so vast. It's like we have people from all parts of the world. Truly outstanding. Even people all the way down as far as, Chip, Miami.
Miami, right down the road, Jeff.
Right down the road.
There's so many people in Florida where you keep talking about this. We have to do it. We have to do like a January, February meetup, OTC meetup. And maybe we'll have some distinguished couple good guests there. Bring some good talkers in, and we'll do a shindig, man. I think
that's a great idea. You know where we should hold it? Picked out the perfect venue.
Is it Burn Steakhouse?
No, Alchemist mom's basement.
There you go. Got to get permission from mom first, though. We want to be very careful here. So. This right here, this is something I don't think we've touched on this.
Look at that. Pierre's in
Austria. Oh, fantastic.
Australia. So close, missing 2 letters, and it could have been Australia.
Yeah, but it's so far away. That's the thing. But Austria, that's a place I would love. It's so beautiful. Anybody that's been there shared pictures, and I'm like, they love the people. They love the food. The atmosphere, beautiful there. So look at this right here, Jeff. Let's go take a look at this. Ripple put this out. Latest XRP markets report. They talk about Ripple's XRP holdings. Look at this. This is a new milestone. Less than 50% of the total supply, first time ever. So it's dipped down below. So that means that between retail holders and, let's say, anybody else that has XRP other than Ripple has more than 50%, right?
That's pretty amazing. It's an amazing development here.
It took a little over 10 years, but there you go. Talk about the state of global crypto regulation, macroeconomic moves, and on-demand liquidity. Brad Garlinghouse said this, below 50%, a huge milestone. For 10 years, Ripple has focused on using XRP and the XRPL within our products for its speed, security, and scalability for movement and value. Are you listening, SEC? As more customers use XRP in their payment flows, it's clear there's real utility here. It's like, this is what Gary Gensler and the SEC wasn't actually mentioned in this, but this is anybody paying attention or has half a brain. Who was it from The Wizard of Oz? I think I've only watched that movie maybe once all the way through when I was a kid. Wasn't a big fan. Who had half of a brain? Was it the Tin Man?
Tin Man needed a heart.
Tin Man needed
courage.
The lion needed courage. And who was the Scarecrow? Was it the Scarecrow?
There was a Scarecrow.
I don't know, man.
You probably needed a brain. That would make sense.
Listen, anytime that movie came around, back in the day, they always put it up against. It was always like on a holiday. They'd be like, they'd play it around like a Thanksgiving, and they'd play, oh, we're going to play the Wizard of Oz. And then on the other channel, they compete, they would play Willy Wonka. And I was a Willy Wonka fan because that just appealed to me more. Not the later one where Willy Wonka is really questionable. I'm talking about the very original one.
The
Willy
original
Wonka.
one.
Yeah, not the one with Johnny Depp. Even though I love Johnny Depp, that was a little bit, I don't know. That Willy Wonka was a bit off, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
So
whole era of off movies.
yeah, it was a weird thing. So then everyone, all the relatives and everybody voted for the Wizard of Oz, and I just went to another room, and I don't know. I didn't have YouTube back then, but I probably would have just been watching YouTube videos. But check this out.
I like that last statement right there, Chip. As more customers use XRP in their payment flows, it's clear there is real utility here. You know what I'd like to see in Twitter? I'd like to see an underlining. So you can underline what you're saying, So,
well, maybe like highlight it. The ability to highlight it, because underline, you think it's clickable, and you'd be like, click.
Or
click,
bold.
click,
Yeah,
click.
bold would be. Maybe bold. Highlight or bold.
You can bold it.
Can you?
Yeah.
You can bold in Twitter?
Not in Twitter. You have to use one of those other programs, but I'll show you how to do it.
But if you could do it in Twitter, you can all
well, you have to
directly in Twitter would be pretty sweet.
You got to go take the statement you want to bold, and you go like bold in Twitter, and then there's something where you paste it in there, and then it gives you the code, and you pop it in.
Yeah, it's like doing all your characters and fonts upside down, like David Schwartz did, and
like he always does. Yeah. So this was the market report right here. It says this is the quarterly market report. As an XRP holder, Ripple believes proactive communication and transparency are part of being a responsible stakeholder. You see that right there? There's another good statement.
I like that, being proactive. I like proactive communication. I like transparency, and that's right. And they are, it's very being responsible, and maybe they should make note in some of the government agencies.
And if but this has been a very common theme throughout Ripple's existence. They've always believed in transparency. They've always believed that going to the SEC, hey, we're going to do this. Hey, we're going to partner with so-and-so. Hey, we're going to do this. So 8 years of that, and then drop the lawsuit. So I think this, and it's amazing too, because they did not object to the latest, and we'll get into that a little bit too, the latest Amicus filings. But the notable takeaways
stuff here. Well, before you go into there, look at this other statement here. Ripple urges others in the industry to build trust, foster open communication, and raise the bar industry-wide.
Where's that? What am I missing that?
The last sentence.
Oh yeah, right there. There you go.
But I like that. Trying to build industry or others in the industry to build trust. We want trust within the industry, I guess, is the important point here. And how do you foster and build trust within the industry? If you have an issue with those that are in charge of helping to push and provide clarity, always create some major issues here. But I like these takeaways, Chip. I think these are really solid. So that number one, to see that Ripple's XRP holders are now below that 50% threshold. I think the other takeaway, Chip, is that they also, from a validator perspective, they unboarded a validator. We talked about that a few weeks ago, basically shutting down one of their validators.
Well, they shut down one and they activated another one. So they have 5.8. Maybe that's 5.89. I don't know. They have 5. It's 5. It's just under 6%. So again, these are
they're over that, whatever that threshold was.
Well, they've been below 10% for a long time, but the fact is that they almost don't even matter anymore, because they're below 6%. And it's like, why isn't that ever be taught? I mean, you want to talk about decentralization. If they wanted to pass an amendment tomorrow, they could put any amendment forth for the validators to vote on. It's 6%, right? You have a 6% of your vote and you need 80% consensus. It's 6% is pretty negligible, right? I mean, it's almost non-existent at that point. And there's been things that amendments put forward that Ripple has vetoed or hasn't voted yes to. And again, it's all about the. I wanted to put this up here right here. This is Jason from Malta, and Malta is probably one of the most beautiful places that I've visited, man. Just architecture there, just incredible. It's an incredible place. It's a place where you would film like Game of Thrones, because it's just the backdrop's nice. We have Holland. We have some Dutch friends in here today. What's up, John? It's been too long since I've visited there. I bet you we could do a nice meetup there too. There's so many great, of course, we talked about Pierre being in Australia. Scarecrow, there it is right there, somebody said. So let's talk about this. We have Ripple's XRP holdings. These were some of the key takeaways. We're not going to get into everything, but Ripple's XRP holdings below 50% of the total outstanding supply. On-demand liquidity went live in Brazil, a key market in Latin America. And the total XRP sales by Ripple and net of purchases were 310.68 million versus 408.9 million the previous quarter. Dropped a little bit, about 100, a little over, a little under 100 million. It dropped, and that's USD. So that's it. But good stuff. I don't think there was anything else in here.
No,
I think that was pretty much it. Pretty much it. But anyway, good stuff, Jeff.
Really good stuff. I'm trying to pull up the next article here. I'm sure you had it open, but it doesn't work well.
One from Hogan?
Chrome. Yeah, so I got it open here. And I think this is really solid. This is really important. And, a couple important aspects up here. So Jeremy Hogan had posted I think probably one of the more, key points that are being made right now. And there you go. Yeah.
JW Barrett. I mean, that was the one that gave the parting shot. Remember, on the way out? And he's like, well, come talk, let's talk. Let's stay friends.
Exactly. Yeah. So here, obviously we've discussed this, we've beat it to death here, that the SEC is improperly using the Howey test. And I like this point here, that using the Howey test as a whip to drive, what was that last statement there?
Hang on a second.
All right. Well, anyhow, I had the tweet up over here. A whip to drive the crypto cattle into registration. So the SEC treating Ripple like a Ponzi schemer, not a shaper of money's future. And so there's, so if we get into this article, we don't have to go through and read this entire article, because I think you guys, you can go back and look at it and check it out and read it at length. But there are a few things that were really, really key here. One is right here, the second paragraph, which is the SEC should admit the secret. It isn't saying out loud to the court and everyone watching the case. The test used in the SEC v. Howey is typically used by the SEC to sue hucksters, Ponzi schemers, and other con men who sell fake securities. The Howey test is a way to stop them, not a means to facilitate registration with the SEC. And I think this point is really, really, well timed, but it's also very poignant. That we keep focusing on, well, they're using the Howey test, they're going after Ripple, but why do they normally go after these companies? And is the SEC, as we've discussed it so many times, are they worried about retail investors? Because typically their mission statement, Chip, as you and I have read right off their website, is to protect retail investors. So if their mission statement is to protect real estate investors, go after and use this Howey test to try to single out entities that are selling unregistered securities because they're actually, trying to con the retail investors. If that's their primary point, then why in the world are we facing what we're facing right now?
It's a misstep all the way around, Jeff. No matter how you look at it, it's a misstep.
It is, yeah. So here, the Howey test is usually a cudgel to fight frauds that can't register. But it usually hasn't mattered because the underlying project is a scam and a fraud, something not alleged or contemplated in the SEC case against Ripple. Although they made some crazy statements in the beginning.
Yeah, but also too, I mean, to JW's point here, I think what's really key when he talks about, as far as you're talking about, we just talked about the transparency that Ripple has displayed throughout. They've always focused on transparency. They've always focused on going to the SEC. They've met with the SEC multiple times, and this is where that fair notice only comes into effect. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that insurance policy. Like, hey, if you're going to go ahead, you're going to say that they were selling securities all the time. then all of a sudden, then you execute and then go into that. And, with the fair notice defense, we don't want it to get to that point because it really probably shouldn't. And so along the lines of what's happened there, we have this that dropped as well, which let me get these ducks in a row here. Let me make sure. Okay. Here we go. So this right here. So Jimmy Filan dropped this. Judge Torres granted the request of the Investors Choice Advocates Network and Spend the Bits for leave to file the Amicus Curiae briefs in support of Ripple. Briefs must be filed by November 2nd. So it's like they don't want to go ahead and miss that deadline, Jeff. It's like a crucial deadline. You certainly don't want to miss that. And let's see what else we got here. Okay, so another good one here. Here we go. So Jeff, it appears that hell has indeed frozen over. And because you and I have been very critical of the Blockchain Association, that their focus has been very narrow as far as what maybe some tribalism, I guess you could call it, or maximalism. Like there's this giant lawsuit going on over here between Ripple, with SEC v Ripple, SEC v Library, and they're over here, and they're supposed to be the defenders, right? The defenders of
They've
truth.
done a pretty good job of ignoring it.
Thank you. Well said. You just took what I took a long time to say. You bottom line there, right there. That's pretty much what they've been doing. But I'm here to tell you that hell has indeed frozen over. And check this out. So the Blockchain Association dropped this tweet thread. Today we announced, of course, this is October 28th. Today is what day? 29th. That was yesterday. Today we filed an amicus brief supporting a correct interpretation of Howey and the SEC's 2-year legal battle against Ripple. Jeff, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, right? Well, a judge now has the opportunity to issue a substantive opinion on how he applies to digital assets. Can I get a crowd? Can I get a clap there?
Another clap. Here we go.
I mean, the judge. Well, just that first paragraph alone, I read that because there's been a couple of over the last 2 weeks, the Hinman emails. I was like, this is never going to happen. All of a sudden, the Hinman emails were dropped, and Ripple's announcing they have them. This one not only took me by surprise, but I found it somewhat shocking.
It is shocking. Now, I'm looking at this, and I said, wow, they finally decided to step up. Not only step up, but they're stepping up pretty big. And, looking at this idea, filing the brief supporting a correct interpretation of Howey in the SEC's 2-year legal battle against Ripple, and so this is really interesting. What's at stake? What are those 3 cylinders? Are those cylinders of thread?
Those are thread. Yeah, this is a Twitter thread. And
is that what that is?
Yeah,
There's
Jeff.
3
See,
of
I'm not a
them.
big. It's a big.
It took me a little while to figure that out. When I was looking on my phone, I couldn't tell you what it was. But now looking on the screen, it makes more sense.
Personally, I have Jimmy Filan on blast. So anytime he drops it, I get the alert on my phone. And if I look at my phone an hour from now, I see that he dropped something. You can set up alerts on Twitter, but I don't need to tag the whole entire community, hashtag this, hashtag that, because I don't really look for hashtags. I don't care about them.
That means it's a thread to unroll.
Whatever. I'm not a fan of these.
I like the
these
number
emojis.
1 at the top. That's kind of what I'm looking at my phone. I didn't get that until we started talking about it.
So remember I said, Miguel Castillo said, he corrected me. He's not a misstep. It's called criminal. That's right. He's trying to be a little bit, a little bit more conservative with that. But yeah, Miguel, that's about the size of it. So here's what's at stake. First off, for years now, the SEC has chosen to target crypto through a regulation by enforcement pattern. Rather than working towards joint solutions with industry members, they've instead sought to punish crypto companies with foggy and haphazard justifications. Now, Jeff, so far, I have to say this is on point. Thoughts? I mean, just these 2 tweet threads right here.
It is very, very on point. And actually, to go back to the article that we were referencing before, to just highlight exactly what Blockchain Association is talking about. And it's right here. Using the Howey test to halt the burgeoning $1 trillion crypto market in this way with a 75-year-old test that doesn't fit seems a perfect fit for a growing Supreme Court doctrine called the Major Questions Doctrine. That doctrine has already been used to strike down a similar effort by the Environmental Protection Agency to expand the reach of its power using ill-fitted regulatory tools. So you think about that and you put that into the perspective of what these guys are talking about, this pattern of, regulation by enforcement, and then trying to utilize a 75-year-old test that actually doesn't fit. This starts making more and more sense, as to why the SEC is on, obviously, we've already known that, but for the community at large and people outside of crypto starting to realize that the SEC is on the wrong side of history on everything.
Pretty much.
Right now.
And really, this is also a technique that they're attempting to use, this regulation by enforcement. Is exactly what you said, Jeff. It's like, so let's just go ahead, let's take our chances, let's roll the dice, and let's see if we can get a ruling in our favor. And if we do, now we have precedents, we have case law, and now we can go round up a bunch of other so-called lawbreakers, right? The people that are doing bad things. And this is how you sidestep the whole idea that Congress makes legislation. And I'm starting to see there's other things going on that we'll touch on the SEC's doing as well when it comes to this regulation by enforcement, but also rulemaking. So here's another rulemaking. We're making this rule. Well, why is the SEC making any rules? And it's great that you put it out to the public for comment, but why is the SEC doing rulemaking, right? It's almost, rulemaking in its way is some sort of legislation. So I find that to be bizarre. The next panel says in December of 2020, the SEC did just that to Ripple, suing the company for trading a digital currency without registering the token as a security, despite the SEC's lack of guidance on the issue. And since 2019, the SEC has regulated how U.S. securities laws apply to digital assets through enforcement actions rather than guidance or rulemaking. Again, that rulemaking thing to me, Jeff, it's a little bit on the shaky side, because again, we're going to make this rule. And it's like, well, okay, well, that's kind of like pseudo legislation there. So it goes on to say that often the SEC enforcement actions end in one-sided settlement agreements rather than judicial opinions that factor in the unique facts presented in the court by both sides. And rather than settle, Ripple's fighting back through our judicial system, which means that a judge will soon rule on the issue. If I didn't tell you this was the Blockchain Association, Jeff, would you have believed it? Because right now, it's really well written.
Yeah, not up until this point. There's no, like we said in the beginning, they've been sitting on the sidelines of this right from day one. No commentary, nothing,
right.
Which has been pretty shocking that they haven't said anything for 2 years.
And every time that they've said something, you would see the XRP community just pile in, like, "Hey, kind of quiet on the whole, the SEC v Ripple." Like, I would always see that anytime they post something. And so, look, it is. They all go on to say that should the court adopt the SEC's version of the law, that's version of the law. I wouldn't really say it's a law. This is where it goes a little bit off here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's no
There's
law.
there is no law. If there was a law, it would be cut and dry. And this is where it kind of goes off a little bit for me. It's like the SEC's version of law. I think the SEC's version of interpretation of a court, of the Howey test, I would think that would be more appropriate, because there is no law here. You can go back to 33 and 34 Securities Act, that you can go to and you can reference that, but I don't know what version of the law they're talking about. We've been talking about Howey, which was 1946.
Right, and they're referencing the SEC's version of the law. So, it would be, like you said, the SEC's interpretation of the law. So they're trying to apply based on what they currently want their outcome to be. So if Gary Gensler is very anti-crypto, or, he's answering to whatever lobbyist group he's answering to, and he's trying to crush crypto in the U.S. market, then he's going to interpret the law to suit his interests, which goes back to his enforcement policy, that he's on this mission of enforcement. He's the cop on the beat, which he came out to say. And then he's going to misuse the Howey test and the different pillars within the Howey test, and then he misquotes them and misuses them and abuses them. So it's really shocking, and so it would be nice to see a little bit more, it's nice to see that the Blockchain Association finally coming out,
Yes.
finally making some discussion points here, finally, filing a brief. But at the same time, they need to come out a little bit harder. These guys are the Blockchain Association on the side of blockchain and the development in the US market. If you see an agency led by a guy that is acting contrary to the outcome that we need in the US market, then you need to be a lot more outspoken, a lot harsher. And I think they're kind of pussyfooting around it and just kind of being a little too soft. That's
well,
what I'm
also
saying.
too, the other thing about it is it's a little bit late. But hey, you know what? Strength in numbers, and look, this is all good for the case. I mean, it is great because John Deaton's working on the filing as well. So the Amicus brief, the 74,000 plus XRP holders. So they go on to say, should the court adopt the SEC's version of law, the landscape of the assets falling under the SEC's jurisdiction will expand how the Supreme Court intended in Howey. And then we joined the fight with an Amicus brief today. Yay, we joined the fight. Safety in numbers. It's like one of those things when there's the early adopters. The early adopters kind of figured out. Then you got the laggards, and then you have the people that pile on at the end and say, "Yay!" They're, it's like if you think about a team, whether it's a football team, and they go to the finals, and then all of a sudden everybody's a fan. They pile on at the end. It's kind of what we're seeing here. But look, listen, better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never. But I'm very disappointed in that organization. And I think, like you just said, the fact that safety in numbers, I think is really, it's a bad look for the Blockchain Association. Like you said, better late than never. However, why do you have to be late to the game? Why do you have to step up, when, you should have been there right from the get-go? Should have been there in the beginning. You should have been fighting side by side. You should have been a lot more outspoken from day one. Don't come, as the case is wrapping up and everybody sees what the outcome is going to be. Now, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, we know the outcome. Now we're going to throw in our 2 cents just so, because we're dancing around in DC. These are a bunch of DC boys, that, are getting paid and they want to, play their little DC games, instead of actually protecting the industry, which is what they should have been doing from day one. And so it's a little, to me, it's a little too late, for them to gain any kind of relevancy.
Well, yeah,
but
that I would agree with. But I think ultimately we're happy.
No, we're definitely, I'm happy that they did it, but as far as the calling yourself the Blockchain Association and then coming in 2 years late, and still no statement about library, no statement about what they've done to undermine the agency. No, not one statement in here about Gary Gensler. They're not even coming out and saying, hey, Gary Gensler's on the wrong side of this, that he's misinterpreted, that, no discussion about how the SEC, with the, with the release of this lawsuit 2 years ago. It's like all of a sudden, yeah, but maybe that's what their objective is. They just want to stay super, super neutral and only pick the winner.
Yeah, well, they say here, no regulatory agency, obviously the SEC, should unilaterally regulate crypto with outdated standards. Instead, it's time for Congress to define a clear regulatory framework to guide the industry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's spot on.
But what regulatory agency is going to? SEC or CFTC? Well, I mean, why can't you just come out and say that? Why can't you say the SEC and the CFTC shouldn't unilaterally make any kind of, claim in their little statement? I don't know. It's just a little weak. It's very DC political, I guess, is the way they did it. I expected more.
Well, here's the thing right here. If we look at this right here, let me throw this up here.
All right, just a quick shout out to Alan Gregory from Estonia. What a great place. You can get digital citizenship in Estonia. A lot of stuff going on there, development-wise, for businesses and tech companies and all that over in Estonia. You can get that digital passport. But he loves the channel, hasn't messaged before. So it's the first time Alan from Estonia has been messaging within the On the Chain community. So that's pretty
Appreciate
awesome.
that, Alan. Appreciate that. Jake Chervinsky, who is the head of policy over at Blockchain. So maybe he was the one that finally felt the pressure, felt like the timing was right. And, he talks about, he says this here in his statement about he's proud to announce the Blockchain Association filed the Amicus brief. But he goes on to say here, in short, the SEC is wrong on the law and its pattern of regulation by enforcement, harmful to both. Is this like just a ripoff of the same thing?
Yep.
Looks like the same. Like he only has one thread there, but I mean, is it just a copy of the same thread?
I think so.
Oh, here, okay, here it is
opened
right
it
here.
up.
Okay, so he says,
You
from
got
our
the other one?
introduction and summary of argument, SEC Chair Gary Gensler once recently opined, without significant explanation, that the vast majority of tokens are securities. Put simply, that view cannot be the law. Okay,
That's
so
good.
Jake has
Solid.
taken the liberty of going a little bit deeper and accusing Gary Gensler here, which I like.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. Now he's stepping up to the plate. That's really that's strong. You come out like that. That's exactly what you want to see. It's not the law. It can't be. Single out the guy that is making the mistake, and that's how you need to act. As the Blockchain Association.
Yeah, and he references an earlier tweet. As far as he knows, the SEC's never addressed these assets before. We learned the SEC's view, in fact, the patterns it believes to qualify them as securities. Talks about regulation by enforcement there, which let me go here. Where's it? I have something to pull up here.
All right, look at that. Let me pull up some additional comments here. We have Al saying America led the way for the tech innovation, so far behind the 8 ball in blockchain corruption. We'll do that. Toby Burton said it's not whether Ripple XRP is a security. It's all about which U.S. body perceived to have the power to regulate digital assets. Newsflash, digital assets are global, Bank of England, etc. Then Miguel Castillo is saying Blockchain Association didn't do it to help Ripple. They did it for self-interest. And there you go.
And there you have it. And Mr.
Oh, here's another one. Idalia saying the SEC is an agent as an agency, or is a leading person who misled an agency. SEC at the Partnership for Public Service. SEC ranks number 5 as the best agency to work for. I agree that chairman misled the agency. Number 5 on the list of agencies. How many agencies are there in DC, Chip?
Too many.
Are there only 5?
They should all be destroyed. There should be one.
They're number 5 on the list.
People. No, enough of this. It's getting to be a little bit crazy. So Mr. Intuitive over here dropped this video, which I love. Let's watch this a little bit here.
Dear Blockchain Association.
Hang on a second. Here we go. Let me turn this up. This is his message to the Blockchain Association.
Dear Blockchain Association, welcome to the party. P is for party, A is for all night long, R is for reefer, T is for turn it on, and why not? Blockchain Association, take your seats. Dear Blockchain.
Take your seats.
Take your seats.
He says, take your seats, and then I replied to this and said, there's always that one who's late to the party. They walk around like they own the place. I guess better late than never,
Right.
It's like you're a bit late. Hello. It's like they show up at the party late and all of a sudden they're the center of attraction. Like, well, the party's been raging for 2 hours now, but you show up and okay, drop everything. And now let's make a big deal and let's all celebrate. But again, it is safety in numbers. It is great that the blockchain, the fact that there's all these amicus briefs is really good. I mean, there were some other ones here. Let's see, I thought there were some other good tweets here.
DNI said regulation by enforcement isn't regulation at all. It's just blackmail by lawsuits. Thank you, DNI.
Ben Armstrong says
we haven't heard a lot from DNI lately. Where have you been?
He's here, but I think sometimes he just listens because it's late there. It's really late there.
It's late. He's saving the elephants.
I like this random tweet from BitBoy Ben Armstrong says, I don't care what happens. I'm not buying Dogecoin. All right. That's kind of random. You could almost like replace Dogecoin with any of the 6,000 other digital assets out there. And people would be like,
that's in reference. So I think it's all about because Elon Musk had shouted out Dogecoin. Now that he's officially taken over Twitter, is he going to bring in Dogecoin as a mechanism of payment on the Twitter platform? Is he going to try to shout that out? And I think that's kind of the key. Now, would it be an interesting turn of events, Chip, if Elon Musk decides to shout out the SHIB, get some Shiba Inu, and see that starting to skyrocket a little bit.
Shiba.
Their
I
burn
don't
rate
know.
has been increasing exponentially over time. They're burning, more SHIB than any other asset.
Look at this one here.
So-
I'm not gonna read it. I'm just gonna put it up here. But this is getting ridiculous. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Like, we talk about fascism here. We talk about so it's look, you can do whatever you want, but who made you the purveyor, the purveyors of truth? It's just the stuff that's going down.
You know which company just put their ad revenue on hold when Elon Musk took over Twitter?
GM.
Yep, General Motors. I
Because
saw that
they're doing so well, Jeff.
They're doing so well. I looked at my wife. I said, you know what? And as you know, she used to work for General Motors for many years, as did you. And so it's interesting because I look at this, the latest CEO of GM is driving the company into the ground with what they're trying to do. And it's really unfortunate. I hate to laugh at it, but it's so unfortunate that they've taken this once great company that would actually rebuilt itself, and the cars are really world class now, and now they want to be 100% electric. So now you have a CEO that's 100% political, not running the company to increase the for the benefit of the company, but strictly for the politics of it. And now it's very clear with GM pulling their ad support from Twitter. That's kind of really a pathetic move. Not happy about that.
Well, but think about it, because he also owns Tesla. Tesla is a competitor, and the funny thing is, when they were rolling out the love for, this is another thing. We get in this a lot, Jeff, but I'm going to go on a little bit of tangent here. But we talk about let the open and free markets choose winners and losers, right?
Exactly.
And there's been a lot of debate about free speech. Well, in the U.S. Constitution, the First Amendment, free speech is just that. It's free, but it's free if you're not breaking the law. If you're not, barring all that, if you don't like what somebody's saying, stop listening. Don't give them an audience. Don't give her an audience. Don't give anyone an audience. But that's the whole idea of the First Amendment. It's very simple. It's free speech. And here we go with all the interpretations of what that looks like. It's like, but we got to do this. And why is everybody? So if you ever thought that Twitter looked one way and it leaned one side or the other, and we've heard, well, it's kind of like a mix of people on their board, and maybe they'll let it sink in. So
did you see him walk in? How great was that? He walked in with a sink.
Well, the better ones were the ones that people took it another step further. One of them had Trump walking in with the sink, and let that sink in. And people are saying, we're going to do this and that. It's ridiculous, man.
Chip, have you ever been in a Tesla?
I have been, yeah.
So when I was in Denver the other day, I took an Uber. It was a Tesla, and it was interesting riding in this vehicle. I've driven a Tesla before, but only for a short time. I haven't been in one for a little while. And it was interesting. The guy gets 220 miles total on a full charge. And then he said the Uber guy was driving over 400 miles per day. So he has to brake, and it takes him 30 minutes to recharge the vehicle. But we were in it. It seemed, it's pretty fast, but it didn't seem super comfortable. I don't know, I'm not knocking in any way, shape, or form, but I was sitting in the back seat. It just seemed like it was a little, too firm. It wasn't like the regular, expectation you get in a vehicle. Could be completely off by that, but anyhow, I like the idea of the direct speed. That's what I like about the electric car. It goes from 0 to 60 very, very fast, but overall missing, there's something missing in these electric vehicles. Kind of the passion of the driving. Right?
What's missing for me is, first of all, I'm not a fan of the design. Now, what I thought was actually pretty clever, and it'll be interesting to see the truck that comes out. That'll be interesting to kind of look at. I wouldn't mind taking. But here's the thing.
I don't like the design of that.
Well, I find it interesting. I hated it at first, but it's kind of grown on me a little bit. But what I see is the idea that I'm just not an electric. I have zero desire to own an electric vehicle. Sorry, just no desire. I want to be able to have some freedom and control, and be able to drive cross country or wherever I want to drive. I don't want to stop and charge a vehicle. Problem is the tech's not there yet. And this is exactly the problem. But it'll get there. It will get there.
It'll get there eventually. The market will determine that. The market will decide exactly what we want out of that technology. The Ford F-150 or whatever pickup trucks are failing also. They're not doing so well. Those
messaging over there.
What's that?
Somebody messaging you over there.
Yeah. Hang on.
So
I gotta see what this is. Hang on.
All right. See what it is. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here. We're going to take a look at this. So this is something else that kind of popped up here. We had so FocusXRP put this out. The co-founder of Ledger, Eric Lark, his full name is, and again, it's in French, so I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. It's Eric Larkoveke. I don't know. I'm not good with French. Spanish is more my suit, but he's one of the original founders of the Ledger, which a lot of people in the community, whatever digital asset they get, stores their, that's where their store their keys for their XRP or whatever other assets they have. He said in French that the XRP is a centralized shitcoin. It's not even a cryptocurrency. I would like him to give us a more elaborate commentary on his remarks. So this guy right here, he's like, okay, so that didn't get by him, even though it was in French. I'm guessing that FocusXRP is maybe he might be Canadian or speaks French, or maybe saw this or is French himself. And let me see if I can go ahead and pull this up. Let's see where it is. Oscar, another OTC, OG here said, this is not okay, Eric Lark. Do not pour shit over your customers. And Eric came in here and he said that, you just got to, so he's trying to laugh this off. You've got to love the XRP army. This wasn't a serious personal commentary from my side, and not at all in reaction with the Ledger, which is a company very supportive of XRP and one of the first to support it historically. Peace. Well, I didn't really do it, right? It wasn't really an apology. It was like, well, I was kind of just joking about it. I didn't really mean it. Crypto Eddie put this tweet out earlier, and she said, Larkovec, co-founder and current board member of the hard wallet Ledger, Nano put XRP in the trash just 12 days ago. And here it is right here. So for the other rank and translate, so what she did was I guess he was giving some commentary, and of course it's in French here, and he's pouring them in there. But what she was saying was, obviously, GOAT, the greatest of all time, Bitcoin, revolution or revolutionary, that would be Ethereum, and then useful. You see these coins right here, and then of course overrated would be these two guys right over here. That's the Bored Apes coin, and then the ones he threw in the trash, Dogecoin, Solana, XRP. I'm not familiar with this icon right here, but threw that in the trash. See that? So put that in the trash. Said try to make this distinction between here. Matt from Moon Lambo jumped in and said, do you really believe XRP is a centralized shitcoin? If you're going to make Max Kaiser style comments, please try to justify them. Well said. And then we've got, no, I don't believe it is. That was a stupid comment made tongue-in-cheek interview. It blew out of proportion because people think that's the Ledger's opinion when it's absolutely not the case. So at one time, he was the co-founder of Ledger. He was the CEO for a short period of time, and now he's simply a board member. So he doesn't run the day-to-day at the company. But again, these inflammatory remarks that are against an organization, you got to remember, there's so much adoption with the Ledger. You remember that a lot of influencers in the marketplace, what were we, everybody was saying, hey, Ledger, go ahead and get yourself a Ledger. A lot of influencers would have links in the description to go ahead and get yourself one, just to help people out how to get it. And again, due to that, they would get like a small little percentage. It's very small. Jeff and I looked at it. It's not a lot, but this is inflammatory. He's trying to walk something back after saying something so ridiculous that, well, it was tongue-in-cheek. Listen, tongue-in-cheek, you don't say this is a centralized shitcoin. Here on the chain, Jeff and I, we say a lot of things tongue-in-cheek. We goof around, it's kind of what we do on this channel. But would we have laughed something off? Look, we've said remarks and maybe they were kind of inflammatory, but it's just our opinion. But we don't have an organization. Jeff, good to have you back. So we don't have an organization here. Wait a minute, you took me out here. Here we go. To be able to go and comment on the fact that it was a stupid comment. Yeah, it was beyond stupid, because even as a board member, there's a lot of people that sit on boards, and here's how it works. You get paid about $250,000 upwards of a minimum of $250,000. You show up for 4 quarterly meetings. The last couple of years, they've been via satellite, right? So you have this, that's your commitment. You go in there, you kind of give your opinion, and you collect your money. So the guy's still getting paid as a board member, but he's like, oh no, it was a stupid comment. It was just dumb. And then Dylan says, hey, Eric, as you said, Ledger is very supportive of XRP. What about listing XRPL tokens on it? Could be a very nice way to prove the XRP community. You regret your words. In other words, make more tokens available. Weeds a Win popped in here. And he said, he said, I can confirm in previous encounters as the Ledger clients rely on XRP, XRPL Foundation's public infrastructure cluster, the people at Ledger have been appreciative and supportive. Eric Lark already apologized. Let's stop the negativity. So he wants to kind of quash the thing. But you know what? Weeds a Win being, very diplomatic here, Jeff. But I understand. Let's stop the negativity. I think the negativity, if you don't apologize and walk something back and kind of laugh it off, you kind of dig a deeper hole and you kind of make it worse. So that's why you're going to get people coming in, and I guess to some extent, some people said, hey, I'm going to go home. Like Mike Manfield said, I'm going to go home, move all my crypto off the ledger, put it back in the box. Somebody else is like promoting, grab a decent wallet. Won't be buying another ledger. You have a massive community. I think it gets a little bit out of hand.
Oh my God, this whole time I've been muted. I thought I'm talking and carrying on, I forgot I shut my mic off when I took the call.
No, I was like Jeff.
I'm saying all sorts of stuff, and then nobody's responding. I'm like, oh, and then I just looked down. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was like, Jeff's really pensive today. I don't know. He came back. Oh, what the hell was that call all about? Man, was something going on in that call?
No, it was critical. It was my son's tennis coach calling to tell me that his tennis courts were locked, and he can't figure out why they're locked, and he can't get into the tennis courts. So I told him to meet at my tennis courts. All right. So then, so I'm sitting here coordinating everybody's schedule and trying to let them know how to get to my tennis court.
This is really, it really is unfortunate and unfair to Ledger, because this guy was somebody who started the company, kind of sits as a board member. He doesn't run day to day.
So what's up with, what do you think, man? What was the nonsense with this whole thing? Why would he come out and say something so ridiculous?
Well, because he's given his personal opinion. He's not given the opinion of Ledger, but this is how it's taken. And you got to understand that as a board member, he has very little involvement with the company. Ledger has always been very supportive and Ledger, the company who makes the ledger that a lot of people in the community store their digital assets on, has been agnostic. And they were one of the big supporters early on. They were actually one of the first, like USB type devices where you could store XRP. So it really is unfair. Like his comments, instead of walking them back and say, look, they were dumb comments. And he said in other tweets, we're not going to get into, that it's not reflective of Ledger. And he's right, because Ledger, they're chain agnostic and they welcome the XRP community. And they're right. They've done a lot.
Yeah, but you can't come out and say that after the fact.
But hang on, I want to make
so stupid,
No, but I want to make the distinction here. Ledger is a company that's agnostic. They have always been agnostic and super supportive of the community. The bonehead who co-founded it has his own
ideas.
If I were him, I'd kick him right off the board and say, you know what? Sorry, buddy. You're no longer a board member. You don't represent, you may have been your personal comments, but as a board member, you have a responsibility, a fiduciary to the board and to the organization. So
to not say something stupid.
Something stupid.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous for him, when he came out and said that. I was looking at the whole thing unfold, and then it was, what was even worse? He should have just said nothing or just apologized. Then he came back and said that he was misunderstood. or that he didn't really say what everyone thought he
said.
said.
Tongue in cheek is what he said. It
Yeah,
was tongue in
yeah.
cheek. I'm like,
Just
tongue in
say-
cheek happens on the chain, not as a board member.
Yeah. Just say,
as a
you know what,
co-founder."
guys? Yeah, I said it was stupid. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't really mean it. I'm sorry. Boom. That's it. Done. Don't say anything else. Oh, no, I was joking, and it was this and that, and now you're trying to type this into a tweet to say you're joking. I'm just like, you know what? Post a video saying it was a joke and show everybody your emotion. Oh, it was so funny. Look at how funny this was. It was a big joke.
Yeah, and so so then the ledger has to do damage control, saying, hey, those comments don't reflect our views as a company at all. Okay, well then maybe you ought to do something about it. Kick your board member off and say, sorry, that those comments can't ride around here. Yeah. So Oscar Aronson said, hey, I say we don't go down that route. It helps no one. It's pretty clear this isn't the company's opinion, which is all that matters. I suggest we move on.
Exactly, 100%. Had nothing to do with Ledger, but everyone came after Ledger.
Attack the guy. Yeah, okay, he's a co-founder, but there's a reason he's not running the company anymore. There's a reason he's not a CEO. What you do when you move somebody out, like a Jack Dorsey from Ripple, from Twitter, my gosh, man, Triple.
From
it's Ripple
Triple
and Twitter, it's combined, Triple. So what you do is you first move them up to the board and then you move them out, right? So you you kind of get them in there a little bit, kind of hang them out a little bit. And so Oscar is absolutely spot on right here. It's like, don't penalize the company for this bonehead's remarks. That's very well said right there, right?
It's great.
Yeah, we're testing out our sound effects, guys. I don't know what your thoughts are about the sound effects. Let's hear about them in this.
Oh yeah, can you guys actually hear them? I mean, are they loud? Are they?
Do you guys hear the sound effects? I don't know if you hear them at all. I don't know if it's.
Well, people are responding. They got the clapping and the booing, so they obviously hear. I'm just wondering how loud they are. That's what would be.
Is it loud enough? Is it blowing your eardrums out? I mean, we got to get some feedback on it, because I know some of the music, which sounds really low in our headphones,
is really loud.
It's like really loud, and
Yeah. What do you guys think of this? This is.
That's loud right there. I could tell that's very loud.
That was pretty loud. I probably it's a 7. Nice volume levels. It's around a 7. Awesome. There you go. Is XRP as good as Doge?
No, absolutely not.
Actually, you know what's better than XRP and Doge?
You see, I'm going to get crushed for that remark and be like, come on.
We like Shiba Inu around here.
Sarcasm right
this
there.
This is a Shiba Inu maxi channel. So if you came here to hear about XRP, you're gravely mistaken. We talk about the SHIB 24/7. Hey, Chip. So just real quick, just as a side note, I thought this was kind of interesting because it kind of factors into some interesting things that have been going on around the world with CBDCs. But the digital yuan stands out in a cross-border pilot in show of global ambition. Now, what did we say when we saw that they were getting ready to roll out this digital yuan and they're testing it? There's so many people that said, no, they don't have global ambition. But you know what? The fact is that as these CBDCs are rolling, and this is why it's so critical to have an official cross-border payment solution that is functional and decentralized. It's because you have entities like this with the digital yuan that do have global ambition and do want to, have some sort of control in terms of the monetary changes that are going on around the world right now. And you know what? I've seen the crows or the buzzards circling, around the U.S. monetary system, especially as it comes, to international trade and the international financial structure, especially as we've seen with the SEC right now. But you know what? Those buzzards are dropping like flies one by one, mainly because of this case, SEC v. Ripple, because what we're going to see is the decentralized platforms will come up on top in the end. And we're seeing a lot of developments that are happening here, especially come November 8th. On November 9th, we're going to have a completely different outlook on what's happening here. So it's going to be really interesting come January of 2023 to see what direction the financial markets take. So really, really exciting. Yeah, bro, XRP, 2 days, 7 hours, 39 minutes until the XL720 release, and that is super exciting because
Finally.
that XL720 release, and someone else was commenting what the ledger
XLS.
needs
What are you
to...
saying? XL7. What the hell are you talking about, Jeff? It's
I don't know what I'm
XLS
talking
20.
about. XLS. It makes more sense.
I was like, what are you talking about? A different amendment on the
It is a different amendment.
What the hell?
You didn't know that it was voted
I want
on.
to put this up. This is really
changing the name here.
really important. So I love this graph right here. So this says choose your fighter: Apple, Microsoft, Google, or Amazon. First of all, Apple had a monster quarter. They beat the street, and surprisingly, revenue went up on their computer lines, up 10%. It's down 10%, or roughly around 8 or 10% on the iPad. But I love this chart. It's so cool across Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, where because you can. It's nice to be able to visually see the impact. 11 billion for Mac, 42 billion in iPhone. This is quarterly. The iPad was 7, so that's 13%.
Well, who beat Apple was Exxon.
Here you go, like here. So I mean, but
Exxon beat Apple.
Nobody cares about it. No, nobody cares.
Exxon actually beat all the other oil companies out there because
$90 billion in revenue. 90 billion, still the #1 company in the world, right here. Then you've got right here. You've got
that deserves an applause and a pause right there. So Thomas Brennan, appreciate that, Thomas. I think that's first from Thomas too.
That deserves a wow.
Oh, that's a big wow. Whoa, look at that.
That's a wow right there. And also one of these. Yeah, we thank you for your support. We do really appreciate that. It is very cool. And look at this one. But I just love the way you can actually visualize this. You can see the negative fallout, taxes, R&D, S&M, G&A. And then you can see where their main revenue lines are. Just love. First time I've ever really seen it broken out this way. And I just happened to pull it up. Just happened to be in there. Here's Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google. But you see, look at YouTube. So their search advertising was 39 billion last quarter, but check out YouTube is 7.1 billion, Jeff. It's incredible. Like that's their second big revenue generator, 7 billion in one quarter. Then of course you've had Google Play and Google Cloud and some of the other ones. And then if we look over here to Amazon, the online store was 53 billion, physical stores generated about 4 billion. Third-party sellers, 28 billion. Subscription.
Big numbers.
Big numbers. Look at AWS. So AWS up 20% year over year, $20 billion. And if you look at, they've got Amazon advertising, Twitch combined here for $9 billion. Incredible, man. Just monster numbers. So just thought that was very cool to see that.
Hey, look at this, man. Tune to Key. I appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work. Long-time listener, first-time commenter.
I appreciate it. Listen, that avatar is right there. Look at the effort on that avatar. I love that. Right. Like everybody should have to draw their own avatar. I like that. I don't know if that's yours or your kid drew that or you drew that.
Should be a requirement.
Like, forget about using
anything. You want an avatar, you got to do it yourself.
Do it yourself, man. None of this other stuff. But
hey guys, Sam Montana. Hey guys, thanks for the great content. Do we see a settlement in your opinion? Settlement in your opinion? And then there was a comment here from Yabro XRP Sam. I would say settlement before the Hinman docs are made public, which I believe should be by January. Well, the thing is that Chip and I have a stake riding on there won't be a settlement. So therefore, there won't be a settlement. That's it. It's going to come to a decision. That's our take on it. And that's, we have a steak dinner at the Burn Steakhouse, riding on this with Mr. B XRP and Coining 203. So they were on the side of settlement. We're on the side of no settlement to decision. And, I'm going to take my steak. I'm not sure what I'm going to get, Chip. I like the bone-in ribeye, but maybe it'll be a filet by the time we get there.
Well, we'll have plenty of time there. And listen, there's no reason for Ripple to settle at this point. Laugh track. We'll get a laugh track in there too. Yeah, we're doing some testing.
But yeah,
we'll get a laugh track in there, Crypto G, for sure. I want to just blaze through these headlines and Jeff, cue the boo button, please.
Agree. Only win.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. I want to breeze by these headlines. So here's Politico, kind of a left leaning. It's a little bit early on the boo button, but okay. So you got. So look at this. Now this is incredible, Jeff. Senate Democrats pressed the SEC chair to slow the Wall Street rules. So you have now we know they've lost favor with the red team, but the blue team is like not happy with Mr. Gary Gensler.
Nobody's
and
happy.
Even Crypto Eddie came out and made a prediction that he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah, his time is limited.
A dozen Senate Democrats asked Gary Gensler to give corporate America and its broader public more time to weigh in. Look at this right here. Here's another one from Politico. Again, leans a little bit to the left. SEC watchdog, staff worried about workload under Gensler. Agency's attrition rate jumped to an estimated 6.5% in 2022, the highest in a decade before we saw the last about 10 years ago.
When you rule by enforcement, that's what happens.
And then the Wall Street Journal which is kind of a little, I would say more centrist, maybe leans a little right at times, although it's debatable these days.
More center left.
Yes, it used to be center right, but now it's really kind of moved center to the left. But look at this headline: Gary Gensler's bad performance review. The SEC chair's furious rulemaking pace is damaging the agency. And this is written by the editorial board. And business has been warning this SEC chair, Gary Gensler's fast and furious regulation could cause damage across the economy. Now the officials and Democrat senators are raising alarm too. What's surprising to me is when it's the Democrats. When the Democrats get the pitchforks out,
man,
your line of defense is gone, dude. It's like you are out.
It's done. He's out. He's upset. You know what? He's upset the cart, because the thing is, all of these politicians, regardless of what side of the aisle on, are their pockets are filled by lobbyists, and the lobbyists stuff their pockets. That's how they get reelected. That's where their money comes from. Not necessarily in their personal pockets, but at least in their campaign funds. Right? There you go. Campaign funding. You know what that means, Chip? We're coming up on the hour. That's what that means.
That's exactly what that means. I was cueing the music to kind of like take us out of here, guys. And we'll be back again tomorrow night. Looking to have some interesting guests on as well. So
interesting guests. We got a lot going on, Chip. What do you think?
We got a lot going on.
What kind of guests do you want to bring up, coming up here over the next couple months?
Yeah, drop some names in there and let Jeff and I go out there and pursue it. Obviously, we've tried to get David Schwartz on here. He likes going on podcasts that have 122 subscribers.
Or people that hate XRP.
Or people that hate XRP. That's another one that I saw. But so pro XRP channels not there. Maybe, we have criticized. Look, we call it the way we see it. We call the balls and strikes here. It's a little baseball reference for you. And since the Phillies won game 1 last night, interesting. By the way, there's another interesting stat.
We had Jebsy on.
Yeah, we had Jebsy on. We'll have to have him on again. So, so there's a stat. Patrick Bet David put this one out, and he said that like 1929, 1930, 2008, blockchain backers said he was going to come on again, and we just got to try to shore that up. So blockchain backers coming back. Yeah.
Here we go. Elon, David, and Gary.
All right. Well,
all at the same time. We'll have them all on together.
Those would be awesome for sure. There's no doubt about that.
When Gary leaves the SEC, we're going to invite him on. We'll have Gary Gensler on and say, so Gary, what do you think now that you're out?
He'll be spending that $120 million fortune of his and never to be heard from or seen again because he blew. So when the Dems come with the pitchforks, the whole reason you took that gig was to potentially get that Treasury Secretary job or some other job within the realms of the government, not necessarily the regulation side. And it looks like that's fading away. So things are not going in the SEC's favor, nor our buddy Gary G.
Janet
Daddy
Yellen.
Gensler.
We're going to have Janet Yellen, Gary
By the way,
Gensler.
Janet Yellen, Jeff, she came out the other day, said the economy's strong, lowest unemployment in years. I'm like, what vacuum? Listen,
no recession.
It's getting to be, I like how they see it's convenient redefined as a recession.
No
2
inflation.
quarters of negative GDP is a recession. You can pretend it's not. You can say all the things you want. It's a recession. And I always see these headlines. Will there be a recession in 2023? Then you have if the red team wins, it's all their fault because of what's going on. Meanwhile, when the red team was there, we had the lowest unemployment. We had this and that. So it's just the name of the game today is just lie about it and hope people don't know anything or can't disseminate what you say. And that's what the SEC's done. They keep perpetuating these ridiculous things. And you know what? They didn't anticipate the XRP army. And the XRP army, in my opinion, the XRP community, OTC community, take some credit for what the Blockchain Association did. I think they felt the pressure that, hey, we're a regulatory, and also there is a good guy over there who used to work in Warren Davidson's office, and I think he probably said, guys, how can we call ourselves the Blockchain Association, not file an amicus brief?
And not support blockchain.
Yeah, and not support blockchain, one of the biggest, the biggest case of the century. So, but anyway, that's all we got, guys. Really appreciate the support today. Also from Thomas Brennan, appreciate that.
We're going to do an afternoon show with Gary Gensler, and it's going to be all about whiskey.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll talk all about whiskey and nothing about Gary Gensler. Jeff and I
or
are
orange juice,
fans.
one or the other. So Gary, what's your commentary on orange juice? What are your favorite oranges to make orange juice with?
Exactamundo. Yeah.
I like the whiskey. I do better. All right, Chip. Tomorrow night is going to be exciting. Looking forward to that. There's going to be some great times, great things, and some more sound effects, which will be even cooler. So that's it.
Oh, sorry. What happened there? It just like fizzled out.
It just fizzled out. It was barely a clap. It's one of those.
Can I get a clap here? Come on now. There we go. All right, that's it. That's all we got, guys. We are out of here. Jeff's doesn't have to drive for his tennis, which is good.
I still have to drive. It's just a little bit closer.
Yeah, but just you don't have to drive as far, which means that
right.
Which is good.
And we pushed it to 10 o'clock instead of 9:30.
Sweet. So you don't have to hustle out of here.
That's it.
Which is why we are. Good. So yeah, check out the watch for the shorts, guys. Remember, we Hans Loaded, our producer here, the official On the Chain producer here, cuts up shorts, and he will
check out. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'll say he'll put them out. We have the short clips, which are 8 to 12 minutes that he takes out of the show, and then we've been experimenting with those 60-second clips where we'll just take an excerpt. So there's 2 of those up on the channel. Let us know what your thoughts are about those, or if you guys have share any ideas, you can always go to onthechain.io and you can go to the contact and send us some thoughts over there. If you see something interesting, send us an email there too. So
that's it.
That's it. That's all we got. All right, guys.
Gallon 18. Love it. All right.
Gallon 18 sounds good to me. All right, you guys ready? We're out of here. Chip and Jeff are out. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.